So I have managed to find what I feel are the very best 30 pixel art games coming in 2022 and beyond, and we'll start this with No Place for Bravery, a game that is based on real life stories as you play as Thorn, an old veteran warrior who's been broken down by decades of violence, who's on a mission to search for his lost daughter. Now the game takes its inspiration from games like Sekiro for its combat, with having to dodge, parry, and really getting that timing right as you cut down enemies. So it is going to be very Souls-like, but at the same time you'll have what will be a pretty hard game to tackle, and you'll also get a very gripping story with Thorn trying to make his family whole again. Now the game does have some RPG in it mixed with a gripping soundtrack and also some very gorgeous visuals. For me, this is one of my most anticipated pixel art games of the year, and the good thing is guys, this one releases pretty soon. Make sure you check the link below. Now Gunbrella is a noir punk action adventure title from Devolver Digital where you play as Gruff Woodsman. He's on a quest for revenge. He's equipped with the famous weapon Gunbrella. This is a firearm that also subsequently doubles as an umbrella, and as he goes on this main quest, the investigation leads to some really shady characters, from crooked cops, gangsters, and even cultists. You'll be scavenging for parts to upgrade this Gunbrella. The combat and the gameplay itself though for me is what really shines here. It's extremely fast paced as you gun down your enemies relentlessly, mixed with some platforming, and I feel like you have a recipe for a fun story mixed with some really heart-pumping action. So Lunark has that classic 90s vibe to it when it comes to the art style, but that's not all I love about it so far. It also comes packed with a great story. With Earth no longer sustainable, Noah, a powerful AI, sent the last of mankind to another survivable planet, Albion. Although Noah helped humanity survive, it also took control of the world with its brutal droid army. The game puts you in the shoes of a young orphan boy, Leo, who decides to join the rebellion against this totalitarian regime led by Noah. The game features some really thrilling combat combined with immersive cinematics where you run, jump, and shoot your way through a vast and stunningly detailed 2D world. In Sons of Valhalla, you'll be playing as a Viking Jarl Thorold Olafsson. You embark on a wild journey to raid England after their army led waste to your peaceful land, and they even kidnapped the love of your life. Sons of Valhalla beautifully portrays life as a Viking in the ancient days of war and terror. Sons of Valhalla is one of my favorite games on this list so far. It's got a beautiful combination of destruction and peace. You have to pick your fallen army back to its feet, fortify your defenses, and really lay siege to the enemy's strongholds. And I mean, I love the art, but even despite the pixel art, you can really see the emotions and anger that drive to keep you going. In Conscript, you're playing as a lone French soldier during the events of the First World War. You have to do everything within your reach to survive the horrors of this horrifying war. With your brother lost, you are all alone in the dark world filled with enemies trying to hunt you down. You must navigate the deep trenches and the dark ruins to escape this brutal land of conflict and chaos. This upcoming horror survival title beautifully captures the soul of war and the desperate attempts you have to make in order to ensure your own survival. Featuring weapons and tools from the First World War, the game lets you solve puzzles, fight a variety of soldiers, and put an end to these really seemingly unending brutalities. Now, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, you will definitely love Hunt the Night. It's a dark fantasy action adventure title with fast-paced combat and a slew of evil monsters. The player assumes the role of Vesper, a member of the Stalkers group, who embarked on this wild adventure to eliminate the dark forces of evil. Now, you'll be exploring the dark world of Medram, solve challenging puzzles, collect powerful rewards, customize your build, and fight colossal bosses bent on destroying the remains of humanity once and for all. Now, as you progress through the game, you stumble upon different characters asking for your help, and depending on how you interact with them, it will decide the fate of your journey. And with that, since we've stepped into the world of darkness, let's stay here for a little bit. There Is No Light is yet another awesome upcoming action adventure RPG title with a compelling storyline and brutal combat. Set in the dark and desolate underground, the people have forgotten the light of the sun and have submitted the power of the Great Hand and the God of Time. But you have decided to revolt after your newborn's been taken away by the Hand to a secret realm. However, the path to the other end won't be an easy one. There's going to be monsters to slay, puzzles to solve, obstacles to cross, and a vast world to explore. The choices you make will lead you to different paths and really create new stories along the way. So Football Story is more than just a game. It's a story driven by emotion emotions and decisions that you make in everyday situations like normal people. It brilliantly combines football with a rich RPG adventure that lets you explore a vast world filled with exciting quests and vibrant characters. Learn about their stories in a narrative-driven single-player campaign, or put your soccer skills to the ultimate test in an epic multiplayer mode. The game does feature some really awesome character customizations to really give that character of yours a whole new look while you explore the beauty of High Shore City. Don't get too distracted though, the stakes are very high in this one. So in gaming, the world of pixel art games is really filled to the brim with games of all shapes and sizes, but we hardly ever see a good racing game that really gets our heart pumping just a little faster. But with Victory Heat Rally, that actually might change. It's an arcade racing game that reminds me a lot of Mario Kart, but with some very retro visuals. Victory Heat Rally is a fast-paced racing game with a ton of fun game modes, including the classic rally mode and a super intense time attack. The game takes you through a variety of gorgeous locations in your super fast cars that are fully customizable, so you choose your character, you grab the wheel, and you hit the pedal to the metal. So inspired by the classic action platformer titles from the 90s, Moon Samurai takes you through a wild ride into a cyberpunk universe, playing as a young man named Buddy who has just escaped from prison. With the help of his friend Danao, you decide to eliminate the 6 samurais who betrayed you and took control of the city. With only 24 hours to take your revenge, you have to make every single second count as you parkour through the streets and rooftops of this gorgeous city. While I love the retro stylized pixel art on this game, the fast-paced combat with the brilliant cinematics though is what makes this game stand out from the crowd. Moon Samurai still has no release date, but I hope to see it getting released soon. So I've always had a special place for strategy games in my heart, and part of the reason is that I spent my childhood playing games like Age of Empires and Stronghold. And while I haven't played a lot of strategy games in 2D, Faraway Land's Rise of the Yokai makes me want to really give it a go. Set in feudal Japan, the game lets you build your very own unique empire from scratch, gather resources, build and fortify your castles, trade with neighboring cities, and really prepare your army to fight against the looming threats of the yokai. There's really a lot to do in this game, from growing crops to building ships to even fighting monsters for hours of fun gameplay. So we all love to experiment around with different things just for the sake of science, and when there's chemistry, there's chaos. At least that's what I believe in. Following the failed attempts at the castle of Alchemists, a portal has opened to the mysterious lands of monsters that are now entering ours. Playing as an alchemically advanced soldier of the castle, you have to do everything in your power to stop these invaders from taking what's rightfully yours. The game features a slew of powerful weapons, from shotguns to assault rifles, to really help you blow these monsters to bits. It's a super fun combination of tower defense, a top-down shooter, and definitely worth putting down on your list. Since we are talking about indie games, it'd only be fair if I shared with you Goodbye World, a narrative-driven adventure game that revolves around the story of 2 young college graduates and their struggles to make an impact in the gaming world as indie developers. Playing as Kenny the programmer and then Kumaid who's the artist, players have to make hard decisions to get through the day. Goodbye World features 12 different stages filled with a variety of puzzles to solve, and although the game is pretty short, the story is well worth exploring, especially for the indie developers out there. So playing as 2 high school lovebirds, Raya and Atma, A Space For The Unbound tells you a beautiful story about overcoming depression, anxiety, and what it means to be in a relationship. Set in rural Indonesia, the art style resonates with the feeling that this game really brings out in the players. The game features a rich story-driven adventure with the freedom of exploration and lots of quirky characters to meet, each with their own personal stories to tell and really demons to fight. But speaking of demons, your existence is also in threat of a supernatural power. You must investigate to find its source and really unravel the other dark secrets of the town. So another game that's been on my radar for quite some time now is Wanderlost. It's a post-apocalyptic zombie survival title where you have to make the most out of the natural resources around you in a vast wilderness filled with zombies. You gather resources, you craft weapons, hunt animals, you build shelters, and most importantly, you have to stay alive at all costs. The game features a rich open world filled with unexpected experiences hidden in the wilderness. Then there's base building and farming and cooking and hunting and looting, and a ton of awesome features that are really going to keep you hooked for hours of entertainment. But don't get too carried away though. The army of the undead is lurking right around the corner to really hunt you down and hunt you down for good. So Seablip is yet another gorgeous looking title where you play as a pirate living on a small island called Seablip, surrounded by natural beauty and of course, unfortunately, bandits. You start off with a small ship that you inherited from your parents, and now you're doing whatever you can to help the residents of this small island to bring it back to its old glory. Now as you embark on this wild adventure to hunt for treasure, collect rare sea creatures, and exploring new biomes, more importantly, you'll be finding out the reason behind these dangerous icebergs sailing all the way to the south, but be sure to leave prepared as the sea is home to many enemies who will not shy away from destroying you. So our next game on the list, we have Blitz. This is an upcoming turn-based strategy card game featuring a gorgeous, fantastical world filled with quirky characters who are always ready to fight. Blitz seems to be inspired by some of the most popular turn-based games out there like Slay the Spire and of course Hearthstone when it comes to the combat and gameplay mechanics, with some really deep RPG elements. You get to choose from a list of vibrant characters with rich backstories that you will get to explore throughout the course of the game. Blitz features a number of different game modes, including a story mode and a competitive PvP, and with over 250 different cards, 5 different factions, this game is honestly looks like it's filled to the brim with exciting content. Now if you guys have been watching my videos for some time, you'd probably been seeing the fact that I've been following the game Replace for quite some time now. It's one of those games on my watch list that I'm very excited about. Replace lets you play as an AI that's been forcefully trapped into a human body. Now as soon as I laid my eyes on this game, I fell in love with the gorgeous dystopian art style featuring 80s Phoenix City that's struggling to stand back following a catastrophic event. The game features intense combat, smooth cinematic platforming that's really deeply immersive, and the cool thing about Replaced, it's set to release sometime in 2022, so I'm definitely keeping an eye out. So Momodora Moonlit Farewell is the upcoming entry to the long-running Momodora series where you play as none other than Momo, a powerful young priestess on a mission to save her kind from the lurking dangers of evil monsters. Now while Moonlit Farewell will have connections with previous entries in the series, there's not really much to catch up on since the stories are pretty short and the game mainly focuses on action and adventure. And if you have played the other games in the series, you might find answers to some of the game's long unsolved mysteries in this one. Alright, so it's time to spice things up with some chaos and death with the game Unliving. Another exciting pixel art indie title that puts you in the shoes of a powerful necromancer on a murderous rampage to kill all the living and resurrect them to join your army of the undead. This roguelike action RPG game is filled to the brim with fun combat mechanics that really allow you to wreak havoc on anyone who dares stand in your way. The procedurally generated maps make everything much more fun, with each run feeling new and unique, and everything from the gorgeous art style to the thrilling gameplay, to me this game just seems perfect. Now if you're a fan of Metroidvanias and you love pixel art, well, there's a good chance you're gonna love Bushiden. It's an action-adventure platformer where you assume the role of a skilled ninja whose sister has been kidnapped by a diabolic Goa back from the dead. Bushiden features a rich pixel art graphics with attention to detail and a non-linear progression system with 7 unique levels. The combat feels super smooth, and you get to slay your enemies in half with your sword and really wreak havoc on bosses with your special attacks. Especially as you progress through the game, you unlock more powerful gear to really put that Goa back to bed. Now the game Chained Echoes really brings back the good old days of the 16-bit SNES gaming with a modern touch. It's a classic RPG set in a fantasy world where you control a group of heroes through a story-driven adventure to really put an end to the war that's been waged for decades. The game features a variety of characters from dragons to people wearing robo-suits. There's really an unprecedented level of uniqueness to this game, be it the landscapes that you come across or even just the gameplay itself. There's a lot to explore here, and I love fast-paced turn-based battles with no surprise encounters. This is definitely going to be a title worth putting down on your list. Since we're on the topic of classic RPGs, Sea of Stars is yet another amazing upcoming title with a stunningly gorgeous art style, compelling storyline, and rich characters. It puts you in control of 2 children of Solstice who have been embarked on this wild journey to save their world from the evil monstrosities. While I love the thrilling turn-based combat with the epic combos from the combined powers of your characters, what I really love more about this game is that you are free to explore the world at your own pace. If you need, you can even take a break from the chaos and you can just go fishing or cooking or just sit with the locals and listen to their music. There's really something for everyone in this game. Now the most brutal and gore-filled combination of Souls-like and Metroidvania set in a gothic world, The The Last Faith is all about gruesome executions with precise and merciless combat. I have to say I'm in love with the rich and detailed pixel art in this game. It really perfectly captures the soul of the action that the gameplay has to show us. The game encourages non-linear exploration of this vast world filled with really deadly obstacles and a slew of powerful monsters. With your mind slowly deteriorating, you have to make the most out of your time before your conscience deceives you. The Last Faith is all but set to be released sometime in 2022, and I have to say I'm super excited to get my hands on this one. So Kloa Child of the Forest is a puzzle action adventure title inspired by the likes of Zelda. You play as Kloa, the last hope to restore the forest and the people back to the way things were. With like any Zelda inspired games, you'll be engaging with action combat mixed in with some intriguing puzzles, but you get some really gorgeous lush pixel environments mixed with a lot of different biomes. Honestly, Kloa looks like a really promising action-based title that personally has my attention. Now, one thing about Necrofugutive that caught my eye is the extremely fast-paced and fluid combat, and it really embodies some intense gameplay. In this game, you are being pursued by the lawmen and merciless bounty hunters who are here to collect, and one reason you're being hunted is because you're a powerful shapeshifter, but the whole realm is organized in wanting to take you out. Necrofugutive will also have a very highly customizable skill tree that does let you shape your playstyle to your liking, but overall the 2D action this game showcases to me looks incredibly exhilarating, and I'm personally excited for this one. Alright, I might get some flack for this game on my list. Super Zoo Story clearly is inspired by Stardew Valley, to the point where people say it's a ripoff, and that's fine, I get it. But that won't distract me from what does look like an incredible experience, where you build up your zoo from the ground up from the beginning, in which it's in complete ruins, mixed with 70 different animal types you can have in your zoo, some of them completely exotic or even have dinosaurs. Each animal has their own characteristics, appearances, and even having to construct their own habitat from scratch. It really does feel like Super Zoo Story might be enough to have a unique gameplay experience, and honestly that's what I'm betting on, even despite the clear Stardew Valley inspiration. So Massive Galaxy is a bit different from the rest on this list, as you're a space trader looking to turn a profit from your dealings of buying and selling goods across the entire galaxy. And as you explore populated cities, the vast and harsh wastelands, and even uncover rare alien artifacts, honestly there's a lot to do in this game. You can become a smuggler, a courier, or even a spy, and really discover many different alien cultures and what they have to offer. If you're a sci-fi lover, I really think you should give some time and attention to Massive Galaxy. So Fading Afternoon is a beat-em-up action game where you play as Seiji, a Yakuza recently released from prison. Now, details for this game for the most part are pretty scarce, but I wanted to add it to the list because its beautiful combat animations and the fact that the game promises multiple endings based on your decisions that you make through your journey really does look promising. And frankly, I love a good Yakuza story, so I'm really looking forward to Fading Afternoon. And finally, that brings us to our last game on the list, in Roots of Pacha. This is a very unique twist on the farming sim genre, and the big twist here is you're doing it in the Stone Age. You'll actually have to discover, gather, and farm vegetables and herbs, and explore the wilderness and try to befriend animals and even domesticate them. There's really a big element of exploring as you encounter large bodies of water you can fish, dark and dangerous mines, and a lot more. Not only that though, there's a deep system of progressing in this game where you go up the ladder inventing tools and improving upon them. You're also figuring out better systems for propagation, preserving food, discovering metalworking, pottery, and even art. And all the while you're expanding your village to have more people, and you will host things like festivals and develop friendships with all of them. Oh, and if all that I just mentioned wasn't enough, when the game launches, it is set to have full multiplayer and online co-op. I mean, my goodness, what more can you want from a game? But if you guys do want more though, the video on the screen gives you the best Metroidvanias you'll find this year and the next.